Hi everyone and welcome to our character profile of Dirk. Dirk who? There's only one Dirk.
There is only one Dirk. He doesn't need a surname.
It's so important. He doesn't
Some
even need
might
a
say he doesn't need a surname because he has no sir. He was just spawned out of the ether.
This is a character profile that we put up a couple of years ago on the podcast for April Fool's Day, and as it is April Fool's Day today, if you're listening to this when we've uploaded it, we thought it'd be quite fun to remind everybody of this little joke we played on our listeners. so tricksy, aren't we? A couple of years ago. Dirk is, if you didn't know, and you should
know.
He's the factory foreman at Underworld and has been for a good while now. He's been working on Coronation Street for over 10 years, silently beavering away whatever jobs that Carla has set for him or whoever is in charge of the factory. He's played by Adam Blease, who we had the pleasure of meeting ages ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
He's
one of the
first person that we met.
I think he was. You're right. He was when we went on a visit to Manchester. Yep. One of our first ones there. He got in touch with us and we met him outside the studio and had a chat, and we've been good friends ever since.
To thank him for.
We absolutely do.
He plays Dirk, who, as we said, is a non-speaking character on Coronation Street. Does he say one word once, or did he say thanks? Or...
I think he might have said thanks. It was a long time that the character wasn't even named, was he? No. He was just that bald bloke who works in the factory. But then I can't remember, 3-4 years ago now, Fizz says thanks Dirk when she when he gets us some drinks at the Rovers, and a legend was born.
It's like an inside joke because obviously he works with Kirk in the factory. So that was kind of the nickname that they had for that character.
Yeah, because that's right. It all came onto the news afterwards, didn't it? That people thought that they called this guy Kirk, and then that was where the hashtag Dirk not Kirk came from. What great times.
Memories.
Yes. Now, obviously, as this character, it hasn't got as developed a backstory as, Ken Barlow. We had to take a few liberties with our character discussion.
It's almost like he's a character in a romance triangle or something. The amount of thought that's gone into...
We filled in a few gaps for you, this listener profile, and as I said, this was an April Fool's joke that we played a few years ago, and it certainly, from feedback that we got, had a couple of the listeners going for a little while anyway.
Going, what?
We just enjoyed being silly with it, didn't we?
Being silly is one of life's greatest pleasures to me, so I hope that you enjoy us being silly for however long this is.
Enjoy.
Right, it's character profile time, and this is one that we've been saving up because this is
a big
probably
one.
The best
character ever.
Well, the best character that's... Some people say it's the best character that's ever been in Corrie, but I would say it's the best character in fiction. Do you not think?
Yeah, and it's rose to even more prominence recently, so we thought it was about time we did a character profile on this one.
And the reason that we're doing him as well today is because his birthday...
April the 1st.
It's April the 1st.
April 1st, when this is getting published. So who is it, Gemma? Who is that April 1st?
Our character profile of the week is Dirk.
Who else? Who else but Dirk?
Everyone's been going on us to do this character since the beginning of the show, but we have just been putting it off because Dirk is so iconic and it means a lot. I mean, it means a lot to me personally. I'm just kind of getting a bit emotional thinking about it. But everyone
can think of a million Dirk scenes.
It's like one of those things where you remember where you were when you saw the goldfish thing. We'll talk about it anyway. Right, so he was born on April the 1st.
Can we just say, I want to say as well that this, it's almost, we've got a bit of secret history of Dirk, haven't we?
Yes.
Everyone knows him, but then
he's like mysterious.
Do they really know him?
Yeah, he's very mysterious.
So hopefully people are going to learn things a bit about Dirk today. We've been doing some research about this. We've been talking to the people close to Dirk. And we've found out.
We've done some research, and because he's not in very many of the books because
the Corrie books. You mean? Yeah.
Because we talk about that reason at the end because we all know why that is. But he's been in it since the beginning. And so a lot of the early history is lost.
Well, everyone says that... This is the thing. Everyone says that Ken Barlow is the longest running character on Coronation Street.
Isn't it?
It's Dirk. Dirk's been in it from literally just before Ken. So, and he's been in all the episodes, like 9,127 episodes. Dirk has
been in
the
show.
People don't realise that he's just like part of the background, some people say, but we need to credit him for what he has achieved.
So we don't know what year he was born in.
Well, this is because Dirk's a bit of a different kind of character. It's almost
he's
like
one of these ones that you can't pin down.
Yeah, year unknown for his birthday, but like I said, he's been in it from the beginning. There's been references to him going to school with quite a few of the Barlows, really. Tracy, Peter, Ken, even Frank Barlow, actually. I think he's supposed to have gone to school with it. There has been a bit of kind of retconning with him. We'll explain why when we get to that. Let's run down go on.
Let me say, so his parents were Jack and Rose, as we all know, really famous, one of the most famous couple, another most famous couple in history of fiction. His brother was Crid, the evil twin.
Yeah.
Now that was so memorable. Oh, that was that was freaky, wasn't it? He first appeared on the 9th of December, 1960.
First episode, just literally before Ken.
And he's been in all 9,127 episodes, and he's been played by so many. I can't even begin to tell you how many child actors played him between 1960 and 1983. But you probably know him best, played by Adam Blease from 1985 onwards.
Exactly. So I think people might be a bit confused at this at the moment, just in case you're not up to date with all of the Dirk's history. He was, alongside Lucille Hewitt, one of the first few child actors on the street when it started, and Granada wanted to have a character who would be forever young, like, you know, a mischievous scamp,
like
someone who's going
to
exactly, someone who's just like always there to represent children on the street, because it was mostly about old people, older middle-aged people when it started. They wanted to have kids. And so they thought, let's just have a character that never really ages, a bit like, you know, Simpsons never get older. Because
they didn't want to make a big fuss, they just wanted to have a child character.
Yeah.
Like being a scamp, getting up to no good.
Irritating Enid Sharples. Enid Sharples was the one who coined the phrase that children should be seen but not heard. She was talking about Adam Blease when she first said that. Not a lot of people knew that. Dirk, sorry. Yeah, I got
because Adam Blease didn't play him.
He didn't even play him at the time, no. So it's quite ironic as well, really, because we know that Dirk is now a silent character, so the fact that he was saying that about him.
Origin story. So the actor had to get replaced annually, so because he couldn't age, and so this meant that playing the part of Dirk became quite the thing.
Sought after role,
quite a feather in your cap.
Yeah,
almost like being James Bond.
Oh, exactly. I mean, some of the great northern actors that we now love on television
started
off as Dirk. Sean Bean was Dirk one year. Christopher Eccleston was Dirk. Even Michael Lavelle, that was his first TV role before he went on to be Kevin.
Now we don't. They tried. Quite a lot of actors appeared on the show before their major role now, and that was Michael Lavelle's first role.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some quite interesting casting as well. I mean, the first Indian actor played Dirk for that period in the 60s. Sanjay Kapoor. There was that one-legged actor as well. Very, very inclusive back there as well, weren't they?
Harold Brandt. That was good.
But everyone just accepted it because it was simpler times back then. I mean, soaps were new, but people just accepted it.
You just accepted the fact that he would be a different character.
Yeah, and they had different Dirk actors, Dirktors they used to call them, didn't they? Played them. People used to say, who's going to be the next Dirktor? Which actually then went to inspire the showrunners of Doctor Who into that whole regeneration thing once William Hartnell left in 1966. But anyway, that's the background. So basically, the forever young character.
Yes. And one of the first main storylines that Dirk had, was the evil twin storyline, which actually had a funny origin, because it had to be hastily written in, because obviously that was the character that at the time was played by twins, and because it was being filmed live, they both appeared in shot at the same time.
Yeah, the other twin ran in, and they suddenly had to improvise. The actors had to improvise and goes, oh yeah, that's Dirk's evil twin, Crid. Crid got written out fairly quickly. It became evil. Obviously, he was the evil twin. They had to have that whole exorcism thing with Leonard Swinley and Emily Nugent.
They couldn't do that now. Can you imagine if they tried to do that now? Yeah. So that's one of the dark parts of Dirk's history. You might not remember that one. 1966, that's when Jockey Elliston took over the Raincoat Factory.
Yeah, Elliston Raincoats Factory, that was the one that was on Victoria Street. They did raincoats and then moved on to PVC things. Jockey Elliston took over.
He paid Dirk tuppence a day to stand at the factory gates and monitor the deliveries.
Oh, Dirk's origin.
And this
as
is
the foreman.
what made him want to work in the factory and be a factory foreman when he was older. But as we're about to find out, it was not a straight
The dream was
path
dashed. No.
to get there.
Well, 1968, that was when the raincoat factory closed, and we all wept on with Dirk. He cried as he watched the factory getting
really
demolished.
moving.
It was, for a child actor as well.
That was Sean Bean, wasn't it? I always forget.
I get them a little bit mixed up.
He had his savings and he bought his very own clipboard and a fancy pen so that he would never forget his dream. And then he went to the Bessie Street Summer Fair and he won. Oh, I can't even say it. I'm really sad. He won a goldfish called Bubbles, and we all love Bubbles.
Bubbles is like, I mean, people think of Chesney and Schmeichel as being the iconic Coronation Street child and pet pairing, but before them we had Dirk and Bubbles. Even
in wider, culture, we have Flipper and Lassie, but Bubbles was way more iconic than those two.
Yeah, also probably played by different fish actors as well, because I think Bubbles lasted for a little bit longer than goldfish normally do, but you don't get famous goldfish. That's just silly.
I thought I remember reading something about they had a special breeding program to make them all like the original Bubbles was like the dad.
Really? I haven't heard that.
I don't know if that's true.
Not cloning, was it?
No, it was like a breeding program where they had like the original Bubbles, and then all of his offspring. They'd pick the one that looked the most like him.
That'd be quite cute if that was true.
I'd
like to think that was true. Now, Dirk was also, but in the 60s, involved in Coronation Street's first ever colour episode, 1969. There was that funny little storyline where he found his pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. They just wanted to show the rainbow. I don't think
we were supposed to think that was real. Do you think? I think it was supposed to be a joke, or was it like a dream?
Well, yeah, he didn't have the money afterwards. I don't know whether he must have spent it all on sweets or something, or was it a dream? I don't really know. They just wanted an excuse to show.
They just copied the Wizard of Oz, didn't they, to make the rainbow and the Technicolor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
people didn't really mind back then. All throughout the 70s, he was still a child. Well, he obviously didn't stay with it forever. He's no longer a child. But in the 70s, he still played that lovable scamp kind of role. He was still in every episode, of course, but in the background mostly. He was the first customer in the cabin when that opened. He bought some penny sweets there. He did that you remember when Mike Baldwin came in with his Jag in the early 70s as well. He stuck the old potato in the exhaust pipe.
Was that Mike Baldwin's first appearance?
Yeah. So and obviously Dirk then went on to work for Mike later. So that's quite funny. That's how that started. He was there when Tracy Barlow was born. He helped deliver her.
When was she born?
1977. And if you kind of think about it too carefully, it almost doesn't make sense, because he grows up to be a friend of Tracy's, but it doesn't really matter.
The thing about Dirk's story is that it's a magic eye painting. And if you look at it in a certain way, you can see everything and it makes sense. But as soon as you move your perspective, it all just looks like a jumble of
I hope we're saying it today that it makes sense.
We're trying to unravel it a little bit for you.
It might sound a bit confusing, but this is like you said, one of the classic fiction characters of all time.
If you understand the character, you understand Coronation Street, and if you understand
Corrie is the story of Dirk, isn't it, basically?
And you understand the true spirit of this, this small island that we all live on.
Yeah. This
Great Britain of ours. It's about Dirk, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. He was a bit of a hero in 1979 as well. Do you remember that bit when the lorry crashed into the Rovers? And Ken, Deirdre's in the back with Annie, wasn't she? And she comes out and says, Tracy, that whole thing. And where's Tracy gone? It obviously turned out that was Dirk that pushed Tracy's pram out of the way. What a hero! Not the only heroic act that Dirk would go on to do.
And don't forget, it's quite funny because all of these Dirks are different actors. So the Dirk that delivered Tracy when she was born is a different Dirk to the Dirk that pushed her out. But we knew it was the same character.
Yeah, it's still Dirk, isn't it?
They tried to make them look the same, but like we said before, it didn't. It was a diverse range of people.
Yeah. Well, you got to pick the actor that's best for the job, and if that happens to be the one with one leg, then
you have to.
Fine, you don't want to be discriminatory.
Obviously, it wasn't in 1979 because that was a stunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, did the Dirk not have a stunt double?
You just getting confused with Crid.
Oh yeah, of course. Sorry. Right. So, 1983. again, Tracy, there's quite a lot of overlapping with Dirk and Tracy's story back in these days. They wanted to pair them together, didn't they, in this era, because obviously Tracy was one of the... This was back in the time when not many children were born on the street, wasn't it? And Tracy was the child of Deirdre, one of the main characters back then. They obviously wanted to pair Dirk up with her, maybe get a bit closer, a bit more famous because of being with Tracy. So he goes upstairs to listen to tapes with her in 1983. Now, this is when Dirk had a bit of time off.
I mean, he was still in every episode.
Yeah, you could see him like out the window.
Yeah.
He didn't come down.
Scenes. He just like peered behind curtains.
Yeah,
or kind of
sense his aura, and his aura was so big that deserves a credit. But he was there. He was there in spirit, listening to his tapes with Tracy for about a year and a half. Then he came downstairs, and this is when he was first played by Adam Blease, who we know, of course, now as Dirk. So
I know he's got this role of Dirk has really been carried by Adam Blease since 1985.
Yeah, I mean, it's over 30 years now, isn't it? So the part is Dirk's. And this is when Coronation Street producers realised that we can't really keep a character being the same age forever. He'd been like a child for 23 years or 25 years at this point. So they thought, right...
They had to stop the tradition of the Dirksters, so...
Yeah, I mean, other soaps were up and coming, maybe being a bit more realistic, and the Dirkster trend has gone. It's a shame. Maybe they'd like to try that sometime. Yeah, but it has meant that we've now been able to see Dirk grow as a teenager, an adult, into what he is now.
Now, we don't know what he did with Tracy listening to those tapes, but...
Yeah, they say listening to tapes in inverted commas. Who knows?
Since then, they've never put Dirk in a romantic relationship with anybody on the show.
Yeah, so whatever they did it there, it's put him off relationships for life.
My personal theory is that I think people would get jealous. You know, like the Beatles and, One Direction and Justin Bieber. You know how vicious all the fans get? They'll fight each other.
Anyone they put with Dirk,
they'll be targets.
Death threats.
Yeah. You got to have him like alone.
And it's quite refreshing because so many other characters' stories are based around their relationships. That's one of the things that we like. We don't have to like who's they having an affair with.
You've got to read this bit because I don't like this bit.
1986 was when Goldfish Bubbles died. The friend to Dirk, his best friend, even more than Tracy, I think, for over 10 years.
18 years.
18 years, nearly 20 years. And he just went downstairs one day and there he was, floating at the top of the tank. Nobody really knew
they never
what
said
it was.
What he died
Finrock,
of.
maybe.
They never said.
That scene where...
That was horrible.
It's one of the most iconic scenes where Dirk is sitting there at his table. Dirk's dead. Bubbles is dead, and Dirk is there with his empty goldfish bowl and all the
ornaments.
all the ornaments and things inside, and he takes that treasure chest from the bottom, opens it up, and snaps it closed again, and
puts it back. Oh.
No credits music.
That's really sad.
That's
really sad. It's making me cry.
I know. Yeah. Well,
did you flush your goldfish?
Well, did we all flushed our goldfish in solidarity?
I did, yeah.
I mean, I didn't have a goldfish. I went out and bought one just so I could flush it down the toilet in solidarity for.
I think
for Dirk,
I don't know how many people flushed there. I don't know how it started, but yeah, we all flushed our goldfish down the toilet
just so we could feel some of what he was feeling. It felt so real.
Yeah.
And everyone watched it, didn't they? Literally 65 million people watched that episode. I mean, that was more than the population of the UK at that point. I don't know how it happened. People must have come over from...
I remember.
Fans from abroad came over just to try and watch it before.
No, I remember because my mum had a friend in France and they came over. They came over on the ferry and they
just
brought,
to see this.
Yeah.
Was it in the TV guide that it was going to happen?
No. They just said.
I was only 3 at the time. I didn't watch this live. I've seen it on repeat.
No, my mum told me about it. She said it was on the. It didn't say what was going to happen because I think they wouldn't have sold all those goldfish if they'd known what was going to happen. They would have probably closed the pet shops. But they said one of the most iconic characters is going to have an epic scene, and this episode is going to be the most unmissable episode of television in the last 50 years.
And they
came over, my mum's friend, and she brought all of her family and their friends, we didn't even know they were coming. They came and sat in our living room. They watched the episode and they all went back home again.
So that
they put special
so that
fairies
explains
on.
the 65 million. I bet there were a few Canadians over there as well. I mean, and this is the only episode the Queen has ever spoken publicly about, isn't it?
We know
we know she
watches
loves
the
Corrie
show.
and the podcast, obviously. But yeah, this is
This
she
is
spoke
her
in front of
favourite
Parliament
episode. This
about.
is everyone's favourite episode, if anything.
Yeah, it's tragic.
That's why
You
when
don't
they-
usually like the sad
No,
episodes, do you?
I love
But
this.
even you, your stone cold heart was
Wow.
moved at that. Yeah, the treasure chest
It's
snapping
whenever
closed
they
and
do
Dirk
those-
just dissolving into tears at the table.
Whenever they do those, like, 100 greatest episodes, blah, 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 they don't even bother putting it in because everybody knows that it's the greatest episode of anything.
It's
like,
unfair, isn't it,
stupid.
to compare
Stupid
anything
to
else
put
to
in.
it.
Goes without saying.
Yeah, so that was kind of the last main thing that happened in the 80s. It still carried on, but no main storylines. 1991, Dirk was a bit of a revolutionary. This is when the World Wide Web was released to the public, and of course the launch of Corrie's first ever online spin-off. Just Call Me Dirk, it was called. It was a bit like, a bit ropey,
Do you
the
remember
production
watching
values.
that? I really love the theme tune.
Yeah.
Just call me Dirk, that's my name.
I think you can still see
When
clips
you
on YouTube, obviously very low resolution coming from 1991, but it was there and it just showed his life as a tearaway teen,
It's
kind of
kinda
things he
like
was
Bike and
getting up to.
Grave.
Yeah, but Dirk.
But we just with Dirk.
Yeah. I mean, most people, I think,
Did you get?
we got computers. A computer, our first one was so we could watch this. Now that's the same with everyone. The swift uptake of home computers and the internet in the 90s is often accredited to this
Just Call Me
very
Dirk.
series. Exactly. You watch Coronation Street, you want to watch Just Call Me Dirk, so you get the internet. That's why
Yeah.
people got it so
we didn't have
quickly.
it before then. And do you remember all the manuals? Just call me Dirk.
Yeah.
Just call me Dirk 92. That was my favourite one. My mum wouldn't let me fill in any of the pages. She's like, "No, you're gonna keep this. Don't even fill out
Treasure
the
it."
crosswords."
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know what the answers are, but
Great stuff. They've
It's
never
probably
quite
Dirk.
topped it with the other web series, but it was
Well,
good that
the
it
original was
launched a
always the
craze.
best.
Quite. Now, in 1992 on the programme, Dirk got his first job, well, apart from, when he was working at the raincoat factory, this is his first proper job, paperboy for Rita and Mavis. Obviously their best ever paperboy they'd ever had. And to celebrate the fact that he was probably the world's best paperboy, I would say, the statue was commissioned of him, and it still stands outside the cabin to this day. Not a lot of people know that calling boy there is Dirk, especially like we said, he's silent now. He wasn't silent back at this point. He used to go around on his rounds calling out the headlines.
Yep. Yeah.
And so
And it obviously is a really crappy depiction of what he looks like. It doesn't look anything like him. But don't forget,
this is
when he had hair.
This is when he had hair, exactly. Yeah. So that was Dirk, and not many people, even many of the characters now know that it was
It's
him. It's
Dirk.
kind of lost to the mist of time a little bit, but Rita still calls it Dirk. You kind of you hear it every now and again, and this is why Norris called Derek Dirk. He heard, when he came into the show in mid-90s, 94 I think, he heard Mavis and Rita talking about Dirk, and he thought they were talking about Derek, so he got stuck in his head as Mavis's husband being Dirk. So that explains that little mystery there. Now, 1995 is when it all changed. This is when the character of Dirk suddenly stopped talking. But there was a reason for it, wasn't there?
Yes. This is when Ivy Brennan, she went on a retreat.
Yeah, she went to a nunnery,
To the
didn't she?
nunnery.
Yeah.
And so Dirk was inspired, so he decided to travel to a Buddhist monastery. And this was actually the first straight to VHS feature-length episode that Corrie did. And it was just all about
I've still
Dirk's
got mine up in the
travels.
attic somewhere, I think.
And it caused a bit of controversy because people were like, why are you doing something about Buddhism? Da 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 da. But
Well, Corrie's
I thought
always...
it was-
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was really good. He shaved off all of his hair and he took a vow of silence, and ever since then he has remained that way.
Yeah, when he came back, he then started this trend among the factory workers and the people in the rovers of having these silent conversations in
Yeah.
the background. Even though he had his vow of silence, he still liked the sensation of looking at somebody, mouth moving.
You just connect to someone.
Yeah, and he's the one that started that craze. And if you look in the other soaps and things, they do it there. And
Yeah, they just copied Coronation Street.
Yeah. Now, of course, there was a reason for this. In real life, Adam had been ordered to never speak again, hadn't he, on screen?
On
There was
screen.
a bit of controversy because it was feared that it would be revealed that he was the one that provided all the vocals on Rick Astley's tracks in the late 80s and early 90s.
Because he's got such a distinctive voice. As soon as you hear him speak, you know, oh God, that's the same
Never
voice.
Never Gonna Give You Up, hang on a minute.
That's the same guy. And Rick Astley obviously doesn't want this to get out.
Yeah, so all of a sudden Dirk was silenced. It's quite incredible that over 20 years later he's still in it, a character that's never spoken, but it just shows how important, how iconic this character is, that he can still be
in it without speaking.
Yeah, there was a bit of a blooper the other day. Do you remember when Adam and Sally Ann Matthews made that video online with that happy birthday video, the 18th one? ITV got in a lot of trouble with that because we heard a little bit of Adam's voice for real, and
that was a lot of money they paid.
ITV had to pay like £3 million to Rick Astley's estate just because of that one. So
the contract, it's the contract, but the contract does end in 2020.
Yes, 3 years time we're going to be able to hear Dirk speak on screen at last, and I cannot wait.
Mark that down.
It's going to be
fun. I'm just waiting for all the programmes that are gonna probably like in 2 years' time they're gonna start doing all the tribute programmes to Dirk, and they'll talk about it and lead up to it, and then there'll probably be like a retrospective and everything, and then after they show the first episode where he speaks. I'm sure, I would be shocked if this didn't happen, there will be like a show where he is allowed, like, you know, one of those tribute shows. But he'll be in it talking about his role. Because he can finally speak on television. I cannot
wait. That's going to be like the Lady Diana interview, isn't it? Everyone's going to be watching that, like the panorama one.
Yeah. Right, 1997. Remember I told you his famous parents?
Jack and Rose.
This is when it was revealed. So the film Titanic was released and nobody went to go see it. It was boring.
A flop.
Who would want to go see the boring film?
Everyone knew what was going to happen, didn't they?
Yeah, about
boat sails off, boat sinks.
And we had Leonardo DiCaprio, no one knew who he was. Kate Winslet, who, I don't know. So I didn't bother going to see it until I found out that the characters, Jack and Rose, are actually based on Dirk's parents.
Yeah.
So when you watch it and you know that it's the origin story of Dirk,
it suddenly has a completely different meaning, and like, why wouldn't you want to go and see that?
And this is why Titanic was the first film to top $1 billion.
Yeah, that was the #1 film ever.
Highest grossing film of all time.
It was beaten in 2009 when Avatar came out, but that's because that film was actually a story chronicling Dirk's final years. I mean, is this a spoiler? I don't know, to say that Dirk will eventually evolve into the sentient tree of souls on the faraway planet of Pandora.
Well, no, we know that, they don't. That's why we went to go see Avatar.
Yeah, that's why everyone wanted to go. They wanted to find out a bit morbid what happens to Dirk in his later years.
It's kind of like Captain Jack.
Yeah.
He turns into the face of Bo.
Yeah.
Right, so 1998, Underworld opened.
Back to the factory at last. Dirk's true calling.
Yep. Mike Baldwin employed him as factory foreman, which was a great use of being a pupil at Bessie Street's primary and Weatherfield Comprehensive for 30 years.
Well, yeah, it just shows that with 30 years school education, you can get the job of your dreams as factory foreman. Bit of excitement for 2000. They had to do something big for the millennium for Dirk, obviously. So this was when he gets struck by lightning and goes into a coma. And whilst his body is in an unconscious state, this is a bit weird. His soul was transported back in time 100 years and inhabited the body of Jim Corbishley, that grocery shop owner, who then went on. Of course, we did the profile of the Rovers regular, so you might recognise that name. He was the first ever landlord of the Rovers, actually Dirk's soul in Jim Corbishley's body. So he ran the pub with Nelly, 1918. Listen back to episodes if you want to hear more about that. And then when Jim died, Dirk's soul was returned to the present day, and his memories of the time were gradually returned to him after those past life regression sessions that he had on with the Blackpool Pier psychics. That was all quite exciting. Not on TV, of course. They couldn't show this. This was all recounted in Darren Little's book, Dirk Calls Time book. Brilliant. Bestseller on the top of the bestseller, New York bestseller list for months.
That was the only book that's ever been top of the fiction and the non-fiction bestsellers book lists simultaneously.
And it was studied by all the kids at GCSE, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was. I think it was 2005. It became a set text, and it still is now, I think.
Well, I think it's one of these books that everyone's got on their shelf, isn't it?
Well, I think I've got two copies of it.
Yeah, I just want to meet him one day and get the book
Oh,
signed.
signed, yeah. Right, 2002.
I can't believe they did this.
I know.
Killing off Dirk.
This was weird. Anyway, right, so he became Richard Hillman's first victim.
I can't remember who the producer was back then.
No, but they wanted to
you can't
stir...
kill Dirk. That's worse than Brian Park.
This was such a bad idea. They wanted to make a stir, so they decided to kill off Dirk. Well, great idea. What a... Stupid.
But if anyone's going to kill him, then being Richard Hillman's first victim, that's quite a way to go, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that famous line of Hillman's, "You should have stayed at the factory, Dirk," and I've got a T-shirt with that on. It's one of the soap's most quoted lines ever. Everyone knows.
If you say that to anybody, they know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And so he obviously gropped him with that pair of knickers in the underworld storeroom, and that's the end of Dirk. So we thought ratings slumped.
Nobody's watching it. I didn't bother watching it.
Yeah. Again, obviously, his spirit was haunting the street. He's still in it, but it's not the same kind of thing, is it?
Well, it's not the same if you're a ghost.
No. People just thought it was a bit silly having Dirk floating around like with a white sheet.
They were like, we don't really want it to be like a ghost.
We don't want paranormal. That's just unrealistic.
No.
So let's just bring Dirk back, they said, and we'll pretend it never happened. We know it happened, of course, but... sometimes they like to do a bit of retconning.
Do you think did they just write this out completely and expect us to forget this happened? Do you think?
I think so. I don't really know.
Well, anyway,
he turns up in the shower, didn't he? There's that famous scene where Fizz wakes up one day and as she hears Dirk in the shower, she goes there. And, it turns out that it's all a dream. All of that time with Dirk haunting the street was just one of Fizz's weird dreams. So we'll just
let that go. We'll sweep it under the carpet.
Yeah, it can't all be gold, can it?
Now, what they did was they had that. So Fizz was kind of like a psychic in a way because she predicted that Maxine would die in a similar way to Dirk dying. It wasn't as good.
Oh no, it was the same, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, but Maxine did get murdered by Richard Hillman. And then this was Corrie's first and only one-hander episode. Dirk was the only character in it. And it was live. And
no dialogue, but you didn't need dialogue for this, did you?
No.
The acting said it all.
Dirk goes to the Red Wreck, selects a tree, whittles it down, and crafts the tribute bench that now sits outside of the salon. And so everyone who sits on that is sitting on
a piece of
Dirk's.
I don't like the idea that one day maybe Dirk won't be in the show, but at least we'll have the bench still there. I mean, everyone remembers it as a tribute to Maxine, but
it's incredible, really, isn't it, that Adam Blease did this live? He made a bench live with an axe.
Yeah, I mean, the training he must have gone through just for that. It just shows
so many of practice runs.
Yeah,
I wonder
how dedicated he is to his art.
I wonder whether there are any of those benches around. He must have made some extra ones.
Oh yeah,
that'd be
but
amazing.
they go for a lot on eBay.
Oh.
I'm going to see if I can get hold of one of those prototype Maxine benches. Yeah. Now, Mike Baldwin obviously dies in 2006. Dirk's mentor at the factory, but I mean it was a sad death. He had his Alzheimer's, goes to hospital with pneumonia, came back, dies on the factory steps in Dirk's arms. What I say, almost as sad as the bubble scene, really.
No.
But okay. So I don't want to.
No, bubble scene. Don't
not even close. You're right. So Mike Baldwin bequeaths. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Gives him the factory basically, but sadly, Dirk is unable to convince anybody of Mike's final wishes. He was like saying that Mike. Well, he's trying to say that Mike. He can't say. He was trying to like charades, wasn't it? Like we can't do it on a podcast, but nobody really understood that Mike had left Dirk the factory, and then eventually Paul and Liam Connor took over it, and but so it was a bit tragic.
Well, he was
really,
annoyed. He kind of got disillusioned, didn't he? And he started gambling and stuff.
Yeah.
And he
lucky for him.
Yeah. Well, this is just Dirk all over, isn't it? He won.
Just Dirk.
Yeah. Just call me Dirk. He wins big on the sort of scratch cards, and he uses some of the money to employ a hitman to take Paul and Liam out.
Well, they deserved it, didn't they? Taking the factory from under him.
Yes.
Yeah, so
It was justified.
2007, the first hitman bumps off Paul during that car chase. You know, when they had Leanne in the boot, he was always shot
Should've
out the
got her as
tyres.
well.
Yeah, he tried. If only he'd paid a little
Didn't pay him
bit more.
enough.
and then
That's the only bad thing Dirk has done.
Yeah, not finished off Leanne. And then 2008 then that was when Dirk managed to arrange for Liam to get knocked down in that hit and run. Often some people think that was Tony Gordon that arranged that, but
Why do they think that?
I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it was at that stag do when everyone was wearing the Dirk mask, wasn't it? Creepy.
Oh, I've still got one of those somewhere.
Yeah, that Halloween costume from the other year.
No,
anyway,
he didn't win a lot, but what he did win...
enough to get a couple of hitmen and start his own business.
Carpet fitting business.
Always had been his dream, hasn't it?
Yeah, the thing is about Corrie is that we always say there should be more different businesses, but I totally forgot about this carpet fitting business because it didn't last long, to be fair. Because Dirk started his fitting business.
It started off quite well, didn't it?
Yeah. It was fine.
And the complaints started coming in.
And then,
as it is a soap, as you
2009. Yeah, you got to have a bit of drama. So this customer complains they shredded their Achilles on a badly fitted grippers on some stairs because Dirk had carpeted the stairs. And then that happened. And then another one, he left a raised carpet and the customer tripped on it and went headlong into a banister. And then there was another one. And we didn't see any of this happen because they couldn't afford the stunts. We just found out about it afterwards. A third one fell over some lumpy underlay and fell down a whole flight of stairs. Now, is this what happened to Ken?
Oh, yeah.
Has Dirk
Did
been
Dirk
back?
install that carpet at the top of number one? I don't know, maybe. Yeah, so not good for Dirk. He was investigated, but there weren't any charges ever brought. But he ended up settling out of court, didn't he? And
he didn't have
sadly
any money left.
Destitute. Things were not looking good for Dirk.
This was when all the cowboy builders kind of craze. People started talking about cowboy builders and things.
Yeah,
that's why they wrote that in, I think.
Exactly.
2010 was Tony Gordon's Underworld factory siege.
Yeah, he took Carla and Hayley hostage, and he had that bloke off the Vicar of Dibley, didn't he, as his henchman there, and set the factory on fire. Luckily, Dirk is there to save the day. Local hero he becomes. All these years after saving Tracy's life, you know.
Yep, at it again.
Yeah.
Bravely saving Carla and Hayley.
One over each shoulder.
Yeah.
Walking out down the factory steps as it explodes behind him.
His head was aflame. They did that with special. They had this special paraffin wax. Apparently, they put a special latex cap over his head, and then they put this flammable wax on his head, and then they set it on fire just for a laugh. And then when they watched it, they were like, "This is really good." That
wasn't even a stunt double, was it? Adam Blease was good on him for doing that.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was a hero then. But I mean, tragically, his 1968 clipboard that he bought, you know, remember those tuppences that he got for working at the raincoat factory? That was still in the factory, a bit dog-eared, but still his favourite clipboard, sadly reduced to ashes.
That was sad.
But at least he gets his job back at the factory now.
From hero to legend in the late 2010, he was the one who rescued everybody, literally, from the joinery during the tram crash explosion. We all know the story of the tram crash at Corrie. We won't go into that, but he couldn't save Ashley. But
wow, he was carrying other people.
Yeah, he got everyone else out, didn't he? He was also the one that pushed Molly into the shop, so she got splattered by the tram. You might think that's a bit callous, but actually that did put an end to that ridiculous Molly-Kevin affair storyline, which everyone said was stupid. So everyone kind of doesn't mind Dirk for doing that, to be honest. It's like the Hitman with Liam and Paul. We understood why he had to do it.
Well, you know, he's just an agent of chaos, isn't he?
Yeah, you got to have a good murder under your belt. If you're a folk character for this long, you got to maybe have a bit of a... It's not nothing compared to what comes later, but... Yeah, understandable. I bet Ken's probably got a couple of bodies under the carpet, you know. He's got a darker side.
That's what he tripped
over. Maybe that's what he tripped over, exactly.
Now, 2011, just to counter all this darkness that happened the previous year, they had a bit of a fun time with...
Well, yeah, they introduced this character, didn't they? So that Dirk would have a bit of a friend.
Tinker.
Yeah.
Beth Tinker arrives on the street, gets a job in the factory, and then she and Dirk become best friends. And then, in summer, do you remember that it was shown, just before, for half an hour... before Corrie, this Thelma and Louise style road trip they had when they went around the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, Beth and Dirk's adventures there.
Yeah, and they had...
Great stuff.
And
dogs in the back.
Yeah.
tongues lolling
Yeah.
out their mouths.
And then they had, obviously Dirk was still in the main show, but that was like the special kind of like summer. It's just like for kids, I think, on
Yeah, summer special.
some
isn't it?
holidays.
And there was never, like we said, but there's never any hint of romance there between Dirk
No,
and
they're
Beth.
just really good
Just
friends. Mm-hmm.
Loved it. And they're still friends. So Dirk and Beth and Jenny, all that lot, best buds at the factory now. I like how, as the years have gone on, we've got lots of different characters, got a chance to work with Dirk. Everyone wants to work
That's
with Dirk.
the thing, that all the agents get them in, they say when the Corrie actors start, apparently quite a lot of them in their contracts will have how much screen time they have to have with Dirk.
Yeah, everyone wants more.
Yeah, they always want more, and that's why some people leave.
Yeah, there's not enough,
They
not enough
can't.
Dirk time.
There's not enough time. That's why they were putting 6 episodes in
Yeah, more
to
Dirk.
fulfill the contracts. In 2012, they wanted to make him a bit more edgy, but give Dirk a bit of edginess. So they got him to murder evil factory boss Frank Foster. And
Yeah,
it,
they
like
wanted
before,
a whodunit.
Justified again.
He'd give Molly a
say-
bit of a nudge, but this was cold-blooded
Yeah.
murder. Whack over the head with the back of the bottle. He not only that, he tried to frame some of the locals, and he tried
Usually
to...
you only frame one person, but he framed everybody.
He framed Sally, he framed Kevin, he framed Peter. Eventually, anyway, as you remember, he was able to pin the murder on Frank's mum, and by convincing her that she actually did it, he used this some special mind tricks that he picked up from his time in the
Monastery.
the monastery, exactly. So this is still Dirk's darkest secret.
Do you
He's
think
the
it'll ever
only.
come out?
I don't know. I kind of don't want it to, because Dirk in jail. As long as they show the jail scenes, but then
I don't think anyone cares about Frank anymore.
that's true.
No one would care if he said, "Oh."
He was a wrong
Dirk.
one, wasn't he? He was a wrong one. I quite
Right.
like the idea that he's got a secret that
Yeah.
like only the most loyal of viewers know, and we're sharing it with everybody now. But
Well, it's
yeah.
because this is called Corrie fan time.
exactly,
2015, he went to Beth and Kirk's 80s themed wedding,
Best
and
man.
he was dressed as Rick Astley.
that was quite funny. That was a little cheeky nod to his to Adam's singing credits, wasn't it? I don't think many people picked that one up, but
No, if
that-
you
that's
got it,
quite-
you're a
that's quite
true
good
fan.
one, yeah. Also that year, just a bit after that, wasn't it? That was when they had the Underworld bus crash. Carla was taking them off to the awards ceremony. Steve he's got that boy racer up his side, hasn't he? Gets distracted, goes over the edge, and this is when Dirk's superhuman powers were unleashed. So as the bus launched itself over the cliff, Dirk, something stirs in him. He flies out of the bus window, catches it in midair with his superhuman strength before carrying it back up to the top of the cliff, literally saving everyone. If Dirk hadn't been there, they wouldn't have survived. He saved the whole of the factory with his superhuman flight and strength. And not a lot of people know this, but that plot twist was actually suggested by Adam himself, because Adam revealed to the producers that he could actually fly, so let's use it in a scene.
I know, there's no point being able to fly if you can't put it in the show.
Yeah, so that scene was completed without any visual effects at all.
I know,
Quite
really
amazing.
good.
Yeah, I mean, done in one take as
If you
well.
watch it again knowing that, and it's even more
Yeah.
impressive than it was the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, 2016, in real life...
Almost up to date now.
Yeah. Now, as we know, 2016 was a crap year for everybody.
Well, yeah, celebrity deaths.
Celebrity deaths,
Brexit.
Political upheaval,
Trump.
crazy stuff happening.
We lost our minds a bit.
Mass hysteria took over, especially in like English-speaking countries, US, Canada, Australia, UK. And this mass hysteria had this weird effect of wiping Dirk's memory from the minds of Corrie viewers.
That's probably why some of this sounds like a bit weird, like you've never heard it before, but
But
you're actually...
you have heard this before.
You've watched it. I mean, if you've been watching Corrie fans all the time, you know Dirk, but it's
But even if you watched in 2015, you saw stuff with the flying and
Yeah,
everything.
it's
That
just-
was on the front page of the Daily Mail, the Sun, the Telegraph.
Yeah.
I kept them. I cut them out.
So this is why earlier this year, when
somebody's noticed him in the Rovers, you know, that scene with him and Fizz, and he's getting them drinks. Everyone's like, well, who's that? They said his name's Kirk. And that was then picked up in the press.
It's because Kirk and Dirk sound similar, and it was their unconscious minds like going, "Ooh, tick, tick, tick,
Kirk
tick."
can't hold a handle to Dirk,
Why
really.
can't people remember this?
I don't know.
But
it's
I guess
weird.
that everyone was freaked out last year.
The subconscious
when
memories of
Corrie-
Dirk began to be roused in the most loyal of Corrie fans, like us.
Yes.
And we're like, oh, yeah, it's Dirk. So people then started the hashtag Dirk, not Kirk, and then slowly people are starting to remember Dirk, and we just hope that this character profile today has helped people to remember, and that he can be truly celebrated for being the best character
of all time
of
in
all
fiction
time.
of any type.
Yeah. So that is basically the history of Dirk.
Only rivaled by the spider in Incy Wincy Spider, which I think is sorely underrated.
Oh, yeah, obviously, yeah. Now, you do think that playing Dirk, Adam wouldn't have much time for doing anything else at the moment. He's actually been in quite a few other hit TV shows. Between the filming blocks in Coronation Street, I mean, he's been in Game of Thrones. All the great British actors have been in Game of Thrones. He's been in Desperate Housewives.
Yeah, he played Wisteria then.
Breaking Bad. He played that fly in that episode.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he was the 13th Doctor in Doctor Who as well. I think his biggest role, though, was when he played the smoke monster in Lost. I mean, what a classic role that was. You could tell it was him if you kind of squinted and looked carefully. That was actually Adam. Now, he's not just famous in this country, in English-speaking countries, you said as well. He's actually got quite a fan following in Spain, hasn't he?
Yep, he's got his own TV channel,
Teledirko, yeah, I wish we could get that here.
Well, when I was learning Spanish GCSE, we used to watch it to try to get...
Teledirko?
Try to get us to... encourage us to learn Spanish.
So what was on it?
Well, it had... Well, mostly it was just clips of, like, Dirk moments in Corrie.
Dubbed over in Spanish.
They used to have this really cool segment where they would make you over to make you look like Dirk.
Oh, yeah, head shave and everything.
I can't remember any Spanish, but it's like, blah, 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 the Dirk look, like that. And they used to, at the end of every segment, they go, Dirk look, like that, like it was a word. They would have news about him, what his stories it is. Mm-hmm. If he ever appears in public, they'd have like pap shots of him.
Yeah, but Adam's got a holiday home in the Costa del Sol, doesn't he? As he get mobbed by fans whenever he goes there.
I don't like all the pap stuff. I find it a bit like poor. Let's leave him alone.
I know, he doesn't want all this fame.
Yeah,
he just wants to live a normal life, really.
So yeah, they used to have like sections like, what's in Dirk's shopping? What's in Adam's shopping bag? What would Dirk buy? Kind of things like that. It's silly,
cool.
Like time wasting. But it was really good. I mean, the thing about it is like the news channels. It was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Teledirk, and it was just Dirk coverage. So they had to kind of like have some filler. Yeah.
Well, understandably, and for repeats and stuff. Now, has he got any awards? Yes, he does. Has he got? Of course, what we're saying. He's got all the awards, hasn't he? In fact, he's got the record for having the most soap awards of any character. It makes sense considering how long he's been in the show and just how loved he is. Did you know that the British Soap Awards were set up in '99 as a way to honour the character of Dirk? They didn't have the British Soap Awards. They had like the other magazines and everything, but that actual awards show was set up to commemorate Dirk, and since then he's got an award in, is it most has he got something in every category? Every category, even the best actress and sexiest female.
Yes, yeah, he's won everything.
If you're up against Dirk, you can't win, can you?
And he's also the only soap actor to win an Oscar, which was weird because they just at the end of the ceremony they just gave him the Oscar.
Isn't the Oscar modelled on Dirk? It does look quite like him, doesn't it? He's the one that stood there. So I just hope that Dirk always stays in the show. Do you think he's going to leave?
Dirk should always stay, but Adam Blease might decide he wants to do something else. Like in
I'm
2020,
kind of used to Adam as Dirk now. I wouldn't want them to go back to changing the Dirk to...
No, but in 2020, when he's allowed to like speak and stuff, he might do sing. He might do some more singing.
Oh yeah, he could do, couldn't he? He has got a voice of an angel.
Yeah.
Well, he said he doesn't want to quit the role of Dirk anyway.
They always say that.
But just in case he has to leave, every morning his personality, Adam's personality, is uploaded to the cloud as part of the morning makeup routine. Yeah, he doesn't have to go into hair.
No, they do it instead of doing the hair.
Yeah, exactly. So he has his personality upload. So just in case Adam leaves, or just in case anything happens, he's going to be able to have his personality transferred into an android body, and the character of Dirk will just be able to live on and, I assume, never age again. So, I don't know, maybe that'd be quite exciting. I'd like the idea of a robo-Dirk.
Yeah, well, I said this before, that's what's going to happen in the future with all the Corrie characters.
Yeah, they'll all just be androids.
Yeah.
And then never have to worry about them leaving. So, there we go. That is Dirk. I think we've been through everything. What an icon.
Best character in fiction ever.
I hope this has kind of stirred some memories in people, and
Write in with your favourite episode, because he's been in 9,000 episodes.
Yeah, and don't forget, if you're listening to this the day it's broadcast, April the 1st, it is Dirk's birthday, so make sure you
Tweet
celebrate
him.
that. Send a message at Adam Blease and say happy birthday to his...
Happy birthday, Dirk.
It's not his birthday, obviously, it's Dirk's birthday, but they're one and the same, really, aren't they?
Yeah, they are now.
Right, thank you everybody for listening. Hope you enjoyed reliving that if you heard it a few years ago, or just learning about Dirk if this is the first time for you. But this is certainly one of my favourite things that I've done on the podcast.
Mine
I have
too.
to say, it's just so much fun, wasn't it?
It doesn't take much to amuse me.
It let us flex our creative muscles, shall we say?
Yes.
And maybe it'd be fun to do something like that again sometime. But anyway, for now, that was our Dirk character profile taken from episode 246. Hope you enjoyed. And if you did enjoy that, and like all things Conversation Street, you can get in touch with us at conversationstreet@gmail.com. Please like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. And
you can find us we're a podcast. We're not just a YouTube channel.
We're not just a YouTube channel with
can
non-moving
find
videos.
us on wherever you get your podcasts from, Spotify, iTunes, etc.
The Google version, whatever it is that they use on Android. We should probably know that by now.
Probably.
You know if you get an Android phone. Thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Ta-ra.